So now we're gonna talk about the season opener. All 3 points, Dave. We get going into this game.
It's a little dicey, but we got it done.
Squeaky bum there at the end, wasn't it?
A little bit.
So, what do you think of the lineup? Right. So we got everybody we wanted. Of course, the back line. There were some injuries that forced Dialect to make some choices.
Two substitutes in the back line from what everybody presumes. The interesting thing is, when a squad is sort of perfectly composed and built, when everybody knows what the starting lineup should be. Like I read a lot on Twitter and articles and whatever, and every single person had the same starting lineup. So that tells you a little bit about how the roster is composed, that,
Right.
that it's balanced, that you kind of know who should be starting. But anyway, the two players who everybody have in their starting lineup who were not available, Amador at left back, Lennon at right back. Instead, we get Hernandez, the wily veteran, and who's been
He's
here
only
a
like
while.
22, right?
No, he's like 27 now.
Is he now?
Yeah, I mean he started out like 22, but he's been here for like 6 years. Anyway, and then we had Matt Edwards, who wasn't technically making his MLS debut, but honestly, he's only played just a few minutes. How old is he?
Hernandez is 27. So you're right. Yeah. I thought he was a few years younger than that. So wily veteran in his prime at least, but okay. So it was clearly.
So you want to tell him the rest of the lineup?
Oh well, yeah. Rest of the lineup, right? So in the back again, we had Goose, we had Hernandez, Abram, Gregerson, and Edwards, the younger guy on the right, fullback, and then in front of that we got the true double pivot with the Polish pivot.
The Polish pivot.
Sleeves.
You just coined it.
Oh,
Polish pivot.
The Polish pivot.
I like it.
And then in front of them, we've got Miranchuk, and then out on the left, Almiron, Saba on the right, and our new big signing.
Technically, it was Almiron on the right and Saba on the left.
You're right.
But yeah. And then Latte lost.
We'll talk about that. There's a lot of movement from Almiron throughout the game. So I thought it was obviously a tale of two halves. We looked great the first half. There was a lot to be excited about. You know what I missed, Dave?
Yeah.
That I was immediately, there's two things that are happy. Like, you just see from Latte Loth that the rest of the MLS is going to have somebody to deal with. On top of the fact that, do you remember?
Wait, you think he's pacey?
You think he's pacey? And do you know who still hasn't lost his step and has that transition capability from, dropping back into the midfield and then exploding?
Our very own Miggy Almiron.
It might be. He still got it, Dave. Still got it. Hit the wrong button. That's it. Yeah. Miggy Almiron.
Just keep talking.
No, I know. As we sit by the fire, Dave, I mean, he absolutely looked great, especially the first half.
I mean, his ability, he looked classy. His ability to turn in. So first of all, his understanding of the game, the positions that he takes up off the ball, right? He's always available. He can turn a guy all the time. He stops on a dime. He knows where everybody is. I mean, the moment, literally like his first touch of the game, he just sprayed a ball in traffic, like 30 yards on the other side. And you're just like, it's like, where did that go for our team?
And when people are playing it up and forward to Latte Loth, it didn't matter where it went. He was competing for it.
Oh, God, yeah.
He was competing for it. He's just a totally different striker than we've ever had, really. Wouldn't you agree? Like, I don't think I've ever seen a striker like that, frankly, in the MLS.
That's
quite with the same style.
Question about in MLS. I mean, I have to think a little bit more about that in MLS. Certainly not for us.
Yeah, certainly not for us. A young guy. I don't know. He's 26, right?
Because the best scorer we've ever had, of course, was Joseph Martinez, and Joseph Martinez really quick, can get up, can finish, but it didn't have the pace. I mean, just
didn't have the pace.
Frightening pace.
It just looks like Latte Loth every time. He's not afraid to just attack people.
No, he's literally his first touch of the game. He took it. He ran 20 yards at their box, got to the top of the box, ran into kind of a wall, went sideways, took on two guys, hit a ball near post. Didn't quite catch it, but you're like, old man.
Yeah.
Like, different.
So, yeah.
I mean, the era of, no offense to these players, but, we've had Rios and we've had Miguel Berry and we've had others.
Well,
and you just watch that and you're like, that's different.
Yeah. Gigi was different and great in his own way, but I'm hoping he's going to be even more resilient, a little younger. And
Gigi kind of had a lot of the same movement, but was not nearly as fast.
Right.
So his movement was terrific. But Latte Lath has that has a movement off the ball, and he's fast. I mean, the only thing you would say, if you had a little bit of critique, he's not the biggest guy, and the question is physicality, but he plays bigger, at least initially what we've seen. So, I mean, I got nothing but praise.
Yeah. So we get our first goal in like the 40th minute, roughly towards the end.
42nd minute.
42nd minute. Corner kick. I think Saba took it in swinger, and he just kind of backs up a step or two and jumps up and just clearly nods it, far post with perfect direction.
He was so high.
Yeah.
And he met the ball so high. So there's two things. One, he can get up. Joseph Martinez could really get up too, but he's much taller than Joseph Martinez. And his ability to time it, and he was in traffic and it meted at the top point and then glance it into that was a classy header.
And because he had to take 2 or 3 steps back, and
that was
jumped.
Not an easy header by any means.
No.
I mean, one of the better headed goals we've ever seen from Atlanta United, for sure.
So we go into halftime feeling pretty good, right? We saw the exciting soccer as returning Atlanta United fans. I think we all wanted to see. So a lot to be optimistic about, going to grab a cold one there at halftime.
One thing I want to say is that, like, early on in the first half, they actually were really dominating possession against us. Like the first time we looked up at the board, they showed it. It was like almost like 60-40 or something like that, 58, which was kind of interesting. And it was because we were attacking so fast. We had the better the play the whole time, but we were attacking so fast we didn't maintain the ball very much. But the actually interesting thing, as the first half wore on, the possession ended up almost 50-50 in the end. I think it was like 51 or 52-48. And it's because we won the ball back so many times right after we lost it. We got possession again.
Particularly from like the 30th minute to that 42nd minute, where we were you could feel a goal coming.
They had a really hard time getting out of the back.
You just know when a goal's coming, and it was coming. It happened to come off of a corner kick, but I think we had some other opportunities.
Yeah, we have some better, opportunities maybe in live play. And so, I agree with you completely. It was coming.
And anything else big to call out in the first half?
Well, what did you see? Like, you're watching the team, there anything that you noticed? Like, I know we were talking about, the outside backs, whether they were pinched in, what's the back line up the field, anything you saw?
Well, you and I spoke about it during the game. We had a young right fullback in Matt Edwards, which you felt like he was pretty flawed. But I still like the fact that he's aggressive up on people's backs.
He was.
Which to me is just so refreshing from what we've seen the last 2 or 3 years, Dave, that I will take all the flaws there of a young fullback learning on the job.
Yeah.
To even if he got beat several times, to your point.
I have to say, so Matt Edwards, I thought, was not great in this game. I'm actually, as I think a big Matt Edwards fan. I think, to me, having only really seen him like U.S. Open Cup and like the 2s, 1s, whatever. But anyway, very rarely. But every time I've seen him, he's been terrific. He can defend. He's pacey. He's physical. He's got everything.
Yeah.
Right. He just looked overawed by the moment, like especially early on. Every time he got the ball, he was just trying to give it to someone else.
65,000 people you're playing against for the first time.
It just looked nervous. He didn't look, what I would say is he didn't look like a bad player. He just looked a little overawed by the moment.
Yeah, which is fair. Yeah. Now, obviously, the back line, Dave, is not our best out of everybody on the starting lineup there.
Right.
So that was obviously a continued problem, but one that I think, again, is hopefully going to get improved by the starters. And then through a little more cohesion of what I thought was great, which was what I'm calling the Polish pivot. Really controlling
I love
that center defensive part of the field.
With that.
And Miranchuk looked pretty classy throughout. Saba was attacking as he always does, and I felt like it was clicking.
Yeah. See what you did there.
I didn't even mean to.
Matea's clicking. Yeah.
So on the back line, what were your other observations for the critical part of?
Well, I think maybe this calls for us going to the tactical board, because I wanted to show you what I saw tactically and the hole where we had.
Do you want to talk about just in general the second half before we do that?
It's up to you. Yeah, we can go.
Yeah, let's. So we had a great first half, right?
Yep.
Certainly solid.
Mm-hmm.
And we come out, and I think, by the way, I think you and I are arguing about a Brad Guzan cross, and I didn't see the first goal. I think that was the cross you were talking about.
47th minute.
Because I didn't see, that was the one they scored the goal on. Is that the one you were saying Brad Guzan should have saved?
No, actually, they scored their first goal. It was sort of in the 47th minute. We're going to go over
it was like a wonky cross. It went right over Brad Guzan's head.
Well, it went over everybody's, and it was a guy wide open on the back post. Right. Actually, Brad Guzan on that play actually reacted really quick, recognized the danger over his head, and almost got there. I thought he was terrific on that play. The one that we were talking about later was one where there was a cross, and I thought he should have come for it. And
I thought he should have done better on that cross after watching the replay. So why don't let's go to the replay then? If you want to, you got the control of control of the mouse here. Let me pull that up here. Give me 1 second. I don't have Carmen here, so I have to remember how to do all this.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. And there you go, Dave. Take control.
Yeah. So this actually is the first goal that we gave up, right? I have it paused right here where Atlanta United, so Montreal just took possession at their left back.
Hold on. I don't have it shared yet. Sorry here, people. And that is not it. But I can probably just pull it in here. No. It's a mess.
Oh, Carmen, you'll know that you're needed.
You are needed, yeah. Oh, no. Here we go. Share. There we go.
And now. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That was almost that moment. Yeah. So, Montreal has the ball. Their left back has the ball, and he's just inside, just wide of the 18, but, way far back, close to his own goal. And what's happening here is you can see actually, and we'll get to this as we get to the tactical board, right? So Atlanta United, the way they're playing, particularly up front, is really well positioned to actually pressure the ball the moment the ball turns over. So you can see on this, what Almiron is actually really challenging for the ball. Latte Loth is actually in a beautiful position to cut off the keeper and prevent it from swinging to the other side. The interesting thing you'll see here, and I'll get to it when we get to the tactical board, the first problem. So if you look on the bottom of the screen, that's Matt Edwards, right, coming up, right? So he's trying to be aggressive. I mean, he's already, he's 10, 15 yards outside their 18-yard box. But you can see the outside is actually their left back, because the guy who's kicking the ball is their second center back, the left of the two center backs. Their left back is open. Matt Edwards is trying to get there, but it's a long way to go. Right? Because to get to him, he would have to go all the way as forward as the front 18. So he's coming, and you're going to see. But when he comes, he's never involved in this play, because what he does is he forces the center back to actually kick it long. So I'll go through the clip here. So they kick it long, and the ball drops. Okay. So first of all,
Gregerson's right on his back.
Yeah, Gregerson's right on his back right here. It's actually Click who trips and is not really involved in the ball because of that as he was turning. But anyway, they play it to one of the forward line, and Gregerson is literally right on his back. So first of all, one of the things I notice about our team is that we're really aggressive up the field. We play a very quote-unquote high line, which to me, I don't really think about the line as much as I think about whether or not the guys are actually trying to win the ball. And in here, you can clearly see he's trying to win the ball. So what's going to happen here is he's right on his guy, and the guy does a beautiful job of turning it and laying it. what you're going to see is problem number 2. And problem number 2 is Abram not being confident enough. So there's an open guy and he's not tight enough to him. So when this guy lays it off to the fellow forward, you'll see that Abram can't get there. Okay, so it comes here, it gets laid off, right? Did you see Abram right there?
Yeah.
So he came to challenge it because that's clearly what they want them doing, is to come and win the ball.
Right.
But he's not close enough to challenge it. And he realizes it. He's like, I ain't going to win that ball. And they have the guy out wide because what happened was
Edwards is still running back.
Well, Edwards is still running back, and Click, who was on him, fell. So that's a big problem, right? So what could have happened right there, if he had read that danger, right, he would have been right on that guy and either won the ball, Abram would have, or he would have forced him to play backwards and not give him the outlet. But he was not close enough, and you could see he knew that if he went in and challenged, it's a breakaway.
Now he's in retreat mode.
So he's in no man's land. Now he does recover quite well here, he recovers over to this. He takes a good angle. So now it's
people are back.
Sorry, I clicked on the wrong. I apologize. Yeah, so here. So this is where we stopped it. So he's in a good position defensively.
It's 4v2 right there.
Right. So we have 4 in the back, and they only have 2 going forward. And so you would think, okay, we're good. And what you see is that Abram's got the guy one-on-one, and it's Gregerson who's busting it to get back. Mm-hmm. You'll notice, right? But here's the thing, right? So this guy is going to go by Abram like he's a cone. He gives him a step over and just goes right by him. Actually, the guy who ends up challenging to try and block the cross is actually Gregerson. He's going to run past Abram and actually try to block this cross because, I don't know, I guess he knows he's getting beat. He's like, So we're going to play it. It's a step over here. And look how badly Abram just got beat.
Yeah. And he just ran away from. Where is he going?
Well, I think
where is he going?
He got beaten so badly that Gregerson was filling in for him, and he thought, okay, he's going to take him. I'm going to go back towards the middle. But which is a stupid play at that point anyway.
If you have somebody to cover, if you're going back the middle though, but he's not going to get far post at that point.
No, he's never getting back in the middle.
He would have been better off putting
double
pressure
teaming.
on him.
Yeah, exactly. Just go back and try to win the ball at that point. So that's silly.
Yeah, that is silly. That's
Sleaze. And here's problem number 3. So Hernandez, right, has been on the back post the whole time. He's in a beautiful position to actually mark his guy, right? He's ball side. He's looking over at the ball. But what he never does is he never realizes that there's an unmarked guy out wide. So that guy is neither recognized by Hernandez nor tracked by Saba. Okay, so he's just running free into the 18. So there's 2 things that could have happened. One is Saba could have tracked that whole run late into the box and been on him. Or the other possibility is if Hernandez had realized right away, Sleaze was right next to him the whole time, and Sleaze could have taken his guy and he could have stepped wide, but neither of those things happen. Yeah. So by the time he goes to cross, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people marking one guy and a 2v1 on the back post.
Pretty awful.
That's not so good. And so you'll see, Brad has you said maybe you thought Brad should have done better.
I think he should have.
I think he has no chance on this. It's across to the far post and he heads it in.
Oh, a younger Brad Guzan can't get to that?
A rugged Brad Guzan maybe gets a punch on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I hadn't really saw it that, but you're right.
He just was like flat-footed and watched it just arc right over his head. It wasn't his fault because we had 5 people ball watching, but an old Brad Guzan gets that. As much as Brad Guzan saves goals, he's not the young Brad
He recognized it really right away.
Yeah.
And he came flying across, but he just didn't have the speed to get there. Yeah. So 3 problems, right? 1, which they didn't use. The initial guy is wide open because Edwards doesn't know whether to stay at home or to get all the way there. He was kind of in between in no man's land. 2, on the flick on off of Gregerson, right? Abram is not close enough to win the ball. So we got one guy who's aggressive and the other guy who's a little backed off. Does that remind you of like Williams in the last year? And then the third thing is actually after they get running, Abram gets beaten one-on-one, but that's not really a tactical problem. The other tactical problem is we don't know what to do about the late arriving, run on the far side.
Yeah.
Right. There's nobody clearly responsible for playing that.
But old habits die hard because we're clearly with Abram there, not able to pressure.
Abram was awful. I mean, he was terrible. He had a nightmare game. Yeah, I have nothing really good to say about him. I'm not really convinced he's an MLS defender.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly were trying to figure out a way to get him shipped.
Yeah, they were trying to get rid of him.
Didn't work, and so that's why I don't understand why Dyla didn't maybe go with a Cobb from the get-go.
Cobb, yeah. I mean, we don't know. We're gonna see. Here's you want to make a prediction? Does Abram survive to game 2 or not? Or does Dyla watch that and say,
He's gonna watch and say, I watched the post-game press conference with Dyla. He is a very direct, and it was so refreshing, Dave, to hear somebody actually speak about what we are all seeing and explain it with no nonsense and not twiddle a pen and talk about intensity and all of that. It was really well thought out in terms of why it was a tale of two halves and the things he liked and didn't like about the way the team was playing and how we got stretched the second half, and understands also, like you mentioned during preseason, the whole part of preseason is just to tire the hell out of the team. He's like, clearly the legs showed the team was exhausted, got stretched.
Yep.
In the second half, he said that may have been entertaining for some, your casual fan, but that's not how we want to play.
Doesn't want to play open.
Doesn't want to play open. So
fair.
Yeah.
So you want to finish talking about it before we go to the tactical board?
Yeah. So we gave up that goal there, and then we come back and kind of get a lucky goal. But again, that's the feistiness of a latte loth. The goalkeeper spills it.
Hernandez crosses it. Actually, Almiron flicks it on. And then the goalkeeper was going with the defender who was going to get it. They kind of both looked at each other. It bounced off the goalkeeper, and
Latte Loth is there to clean it up.
Quickest guy to the ball.
Yeah.
And a cool finish right in the
very
corner.
Cool finish.
Yeah. Very, very nicely done.
And
a poacher's goal, for sure, but a well-deserved one.
And then we saw another goal to tie it up 2-2 from Montreal. Do you recall that one? I don't remember that one exactly, how they put that one in the back of the net. It was it was another bad goal by Atlanta United. What do your notes say about that one? Probably go to it on the replay here.
Yeah, we can go to
Or do you want me to come off tactical? Do you want me to...
No, we can go.
Yeah, I'll let you take control here. Is it off a corner?
Yeah.
It was off a corner. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh yeah. So we can talk about it because we can freeze it on. They have a really nice on the replay here.
Yeah.
You can see our formation. So it's a corner kick for Montreal on the outside, right? And what's going to happen is it goes all the way to the far post. And our old friend George Campbell, who had a terrific game, has also now appeared for the U.S. national team.
Oh, has he?
Yes, he has.
Did you see him give a little nod to the king?
Yeah.
That was a nice little gesture.
So he gets to the ball on the back post, and he puts it back across the middle, and then it's just tapped in, almost like a yard out from the goal line. So here's our marking system. I don't know if you noticed, but it's very clear we're playing with 2 or 3 zonal markers. You can see it right here. So, and what's the other thing I would say about it? So what I love about this, okay? So I love combinations of zonal and man marking on corners. I think it's the right balance. They have more man marking than zonal and just a few zonal guys. And the guys who he chose to go with the zonal marking are the big guys who are good in the box. So it's Latte Loth is zoning. He's right in the middle of the thing. And it's Miranchuk at the front post, who's the tallest guy on the field. Right. So I think those are good decisions. He has our 2 weakest defenders. Saba is out there for the short corner, and Almiron's at the top of the box, which does 2 things. One is they're not marking a guy because they're not the best markers. And 2, the moment the ball turns over, they're furthest up the field for the counter. Yeah. And so that looks smart to me.
It looks smart. And one thing I will say is, look, when you play this, Hernandez gets beat one-on-one. I think it is by Campbell or whoever it is. It's on the far post. It gets up and heads. But again, as we've always talked about, man v man defense on a corner kick, there's elbow grease. There's actually somebody competing for it. He just gets.
It was a good header under pressure.
Up and over Hernandez and puts a really nice ball right in front of the goal.
And I will say also in this case, so many times when you see a zonal marking like Latte Loth, they just stand there and they never do anything. Yeah. In this case, Latte Loth reads the danger and he actually gets closest to stopping the one in the middle. He doesn't get there, but at least he's moving around.
That's what I'm saying. There's signs of this was not just a gimme.
No, it was not a gimme.
Montreal,
2 guys got beat under, tight pressure.
Under pressure, and it was a good corner kick to the far post where really the only head that could have gotten on it was the Montreal guy. He gets up over Hernandez, puts it across, and the guy does a nice job of attacking it.
Want me to play the clip?
Play the clip. What happened? Come on, YouTube. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. I mean, he's at least shoulder to shoulder with him. Does a good job of directing it across. Now,
freeze it again here.
That wasn't Hernandez. It was somebody else who ended.
I think it was Edwards.
Or no, Gregerson, number 5.
Yeah.
It was Gregerson that ends up getting shoulder to shoulder with him.
Okay.
So now it's 2-2, Dave. And is this the ball that? Yeah, this one is the goal where Miggy Almiron.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Oh, you want to show it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the thing. So when we score the game winner in the 84th minute, what is so magical, we talked about our midfield is just going to be better than anybody. And this is what I mean. The people are like, oh, is the midfield that much better? And this is a perfect example of why an amazing midfield is great, even when they don't have to be great. So in this case, there's a ball to Miranchuk. He spins his defender beautifully, right? Just absolutely spins him one-on-one, right? Gets a little bit open, finds a beautiful ball into the middle to Latte Loth. So where we have it frozen, and you think he's just dribbling away from him, right? He's going to find Latte Loth, who's coming back towards him to give him an option, not just running away.
Yeah, and he lays it off to
instead of trying to turn the freaking ball, he plays one touch back to Almiron, which allows him to get it out to Mascara quickly. Yeah. And the whole thing of that whole thing, so Mascara, right? Mascara is very quick. Yeah. He's good on the dribble, right? But Mascara is not a great first touch. And if he gets the ball and he's under any kind of pressure, he's just going to turn and go back. So the reason why he gets to run at the Montreal defense is because they get it to him so quick that
he's already looking up on his front foot.
Exactly. So let's play
the clip. This is beautiful. He just to Latte Loth, lays it back to Miggy's got the entire midfield at this point.
Dribbling, beautiful ball, one touch, and then one touch, boom, out there. So now when he gets it there, right? So so not only does he get it quickly, but the ball that Almiron plays is a perfect weight, and it's the perfect angle. It's not too far running away from him. It's not at his feet where he has to make a touch or whatever.
Didn't push him too far out wide.
He could get his head up the entire time, see the defender, right? And so now Mascara is going to run at him because that's what he does, right? If you give him the chance, right? So he's going to run at him, cut back into his favored right foot, and he's going to bury it up in 90.
Oh, that was beautiful.
And all that is because of how quickly we played from right to left through the midfield.
Yep.
Right. So for those people thinking, it wasn't, nobody made the most brilliant pass in the world, although Miranchuk's turn and pass to the middle was really, really nice. I mean, really, really nice. But, nobody did extraordinary things in the midfield. It wasn't the greatest assist in the world, right? But the speed with which they interchange and the movement in the middle, even Miggy Almiron. So Miggy Almiron was available. He was in a beautiful space. They played Miranchuk instead. And instead of standing around, he turned and ran up the field so that when Miranchuk played that ball, he wasn't just back watching, right? If you're Fortune, if you're Muyumba, you're watching this, watch that movement, right? Because he's so far back and then he just takes off. And he ends up right for a layoff where he can play it.
Again, I don't know how this season will ultimately end up, but there's going to be moments where we are just fun to watch. And I don't think I've seen that in a long time.
The movement, the first touch, the speed with which they played the ball, the decision-making, all outstanding.
Yeah. The Polish pivot, Miranchuk, Miggy, and Latte Loth are all very classy players.
Right.
Saba isn't he's exciting, he's fast, he's got some class himself.
He's classy too, in my opinion.
When Amador comes back, classy. I also think Gregerson is everything I want from an aggressive center
Fits
mid.
the system. Yep.
Fits the system. If Edwards can get some confidence and grow, I'd like to see Noah Cobb come in.
Yep.
I think we're cooking.